What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Hear the Spirit, presented to you by NoelGameDay.com. I am here with Dustin Lewis, our editor-in-chief at Noel Game Day. Florida State, Mike Norvell, and Ron Dugan's land major five-star wide receiver target, Hykeem Williams, down south in Florida. The Donk is officially back in business. D-Lou, you've been all over this recruitment for months now. We've seen Hykeem Williams visit a couple of practices over the summer. What a ceremony. We will go through and watch it over again together here in just a few minutes. But wow, a big-time target that Florida State is able to land and add in a playmaker that will most likely be a game changer in Tallahassee for years to come.
This is a huge one for Mike Norvell and Florida State. You know, you look at how things have been over the last couple of years with the results on the field. Florida State hasn't done what they wanted to do. And then this year you get off to that 3-0 start. And as we talked about on the podcast the other day, you know, recruits have been taking notice of that, especially Hykeem Williams, with how these receivers have been improving. You know, we saw the 100-yard plus games from Ontario Wilson and Johnny Wilson, and Florida State has done good from the beginning as far as building relationships there. Head coach Mike Norvell, Ron Dugan's as well, who speaks with Hykeem nearly every day. So those two have built a very fantastic relationship. So FSU positioned themselves from the very beginning in this recruitment. But, you know, with Hykeem being a five-star, a top wide receiver, you always thought in the end maybe one of the top programs was going to come in and swoop him out of Florida State's arms. But those relationships won out. It helped to have a former teammate, a friend, and Omar Graham Jr. sitting right here in Tallahassee that he'll be joining in the near future. So a couple things going in Florida State's favor here. And they pick up their first five-star wide receiver since 2015. And they pick up their first five-star since 2017, I believe, when FSU signed four of them. And Marvin Wilson, Josh Kando, Cam Akers, and Kalon LeBourne. So a really good day for Florida State, and it just shows the progress that this program is continuing to make and how top recruits in the country are taking notice of it.
Yeah, they are taking notice, and we've been, if you guys listen to our podcast on Hear the Spirit, we've talked about it all throughout the offseason of what Mike Norvell and Florida State can do to end up landing these guys because they've gotten so close before, and they've done a great job of building these relationships for months and years. And then at the end, it ends up they come in second place quite a bit. And then now you're starting to see a little switch here. Florida State 3-0. You beat Duquesne, you beat LSU, you go on the road and beat Louisville with their backup quarterback. And the end of the game, these are significant wins. And I think that Louisville win showed a lot to Hykeem. And you look at now the product at the wide receiver room that Florida State revamped this offseason. And there, you know, Johnny Wilson obviously now starting to get some national attention just because of how pivotal he can be in that offense under Mike Norvell, coming away with touchdowns in Louisville. You look at also, too, Malik McLean and his success and big-time touchdown in Louisville. I think a lot of these things start adding up to where, yeah, these recruits, these guys with top-tier talent start believing in what Mike Norvell is saying because he's been preaching it very well. We've heard recruits. You talk with plenty of recruits almost daily all throughout the week. They tell you, you know, I love the conversations that I'm having with the coaching staff. I love every bit about it. My family loves it. But then when it comes down to game days like last year or the year before, you know, those are losses. Florida State is now building up to where they have a foundation and they can go on and win games. And it allows you to bring in these special types of talent with Hykeem Williams. And I'll go and tell you too, D-Lou, we've got to see him at a practice or two and definitely on campus for visits. Hykeem Williams, and definitely on the ceremony here, this kid, it feels like he's still growing. I mean, this is no small wide receiver coming into Florida State's class in that 2023. Drive 2023.
For sure. A legit 6'3", probably around 200 pounds. And like you said, there's still room for that frame to continue to grow once he gets into a college strength and conditioning program. That's only going to help him in the end reach his potential as a player because Hykeem, I mean, he's a freak athlete. He's one of those receivers who can go deep, go up, high point of football vertically. And I think his game is only going to continue to round out and improve once he gets to Florida State and starts working with Mike Norvell and Coach Dugans. And that was a big thing in his recruitment, coming to these. You know, he took a multi-day unofficial visit to Florida State in late July, where he got the chance to attend a couple preseason practices. He was at the Seminole Showcase, the final recruiting event before the fall began for FSU. So he got the chance to watch the team go through a couple practices, and he came out really impressed with just how hard they were working, and how it wasn't just the coaches, the players were taking accountability and making sure that everyone, was on doing their job throughout the course of those practices. So Florida State, like I said, they've just done such a great job, because in the spring, it felt like Hykeem Williams was going to Texas A&M or going to Pittsburgh, and then they flipped it this summer, leading up to that multi-day unofficial visit, and then really nailing it whenever Hykeem was on campus. And, of course, the wins to start the season help as well. So just a good job over the last couple months in this one as a whole for the Seminoles.
Who's more happier, his best friend Emar Graham Jr. or Mike Norvell? I think probably on the same pace there.
I would have to go with Ron Dugans.
Yeah, Ron. Yeah, Dugans is at the very top tier list there. And I'm happy for Dugans, man. We talked about in the last episode when we were doing our Boston College preview and getting into this commitment. I'm happy for Ron Dugans, and just the start of the season for the wide receiver room has been nice. And then you go on a recruiting trail and pick up a guy down South Florida where Miami's trying to get into that mix there to take him away. That fence got ran over by the donk by Ron Dugans.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job, not only on the field now with the developments we're seeing from these new wide receivers at Florida State and some of the old ones as well, but on the recruiting trail. Hykeem, now the third wide receiver in this 2023 class for Florida State, joining Vondravius Jacobs and Goldie Lawrence. And things might not be over just yet. It sounds like Florida State, they're going to try and get their foot in the door with Jaylen Brown, who's currently committed to LSU. So that will be something to watch throughout the season. So that would be another nice get for Florida State. Two of the very best receivers in Florida, two of the very best in the state, if they are able to flip Jaylen Brown before early signing day.
Yeah, that's something that I want to keep an eye on too, because with Jaylen Brown's recruitment, I've always thought that one's just not over yet. And I think Florida State, if you figure out your quarterback situation, because now that's going to be a conversation. Is Jordan Travis gone after this year? Does he stay? To me now, if you're bringing this type of talent, it's hard for Jordan Travis even more to say, man, with these weapons and the production that we're starting this year, starting to build that chemistry with Johnny Wilson, Malik McLean, they're getting better. Ontario Wilson, your ex, and you start releasing Deuce Spann too once he's getting into the groove. That's a fun wide receiver room, D-Lou. That's a very fun wide receiver room for Jordan Travis if he intends on wanting to come back next season.
Yeah, it is very fun, and we'll just have to see where things go with Brown. I believe he has 2 official visits remaining that he can take, and it wouldn't surprise me if Florida State gets one of those, because they've got another really good relationship there with not only Brown but his family as well. And he was another guy that was in Tallahassee for a couple days around the time of that Seminole showcase. So I mean, there's some interest there. He was at Texas A&M last weekend, so it does appear, even though he's committed to the Tigers, he's still weighing his options a little bit. And then just going back to Hykeem, now that Florida State does have him in the fold, it's going to be important that they continue to go as hard after him as they were before he was committed, now leading up to the early signing period in December, because these programs that lost out today, they're going to continue to fight to try and get back in here and flip Hykeem down the line. Alabama wants to host him before the season is over. Texas A&M is hoping to get him back for another visit. We heard within the last 48 hours, Miami was trying to get him in as soon as this weekend. So the Hurricanes right there as well, trying to get Hykeem in again. And Florida State, as of right now, set to host Hykeem Williams for an official visit in November whenever the Seminoles take on Florida. We've also heard that he plans to come in unofficially for when the Seminoles play Clemson next month. And we'll just have to see now that he's committed. It wouldn't surprise me if the staff tries to push back the official visit from that Florida game to maybe later in December, prior to the dead period leading up to the early signing period. We'll have to look at all those dates just to verify, but it wouldn't surprise me if they try and push it back a little bit further, just so they can get him in at the very last possible second before that early signing period to try and shut some things down.
Yeah, this is a talented guy. I mean, he's much needed from a lot of coaches around the country, and they're going to be heavy after him. And so this recruitment is one that we'll keep a very close eye on until the very end. Whenever pen hits the paper, it seems to be the kind of trend anyways for Florida State fans. They don't believe much until that that signing comes down and it gets over to the Moore here in Tallahassee. So that's a recruitment that we'll keep a close eye on and continue to cover. But, like you said, a lot of these universities are going to try to bring him in and get these visits. So we'll keep on tracking that. Let's jump into the commitment ceremony too before we hop off of here, because I thought this was a very unique one coming into it. You had a lot of the Stranahan students there. You had the coaches, you had basketball coaches, football coaches, and obviously family members. I thought throughout, Hykeem's speech there, talking about his mom, it was a very emotional moment for him, very emotional. It took a couple minutes to get back situated, because it goes to show how much his mom means to him. And he's very grateful for the opportunity that he's put himself into. And there's a lot of gratitude towards his family and his teammates, coaches, everyone around him for supporting him. So I thought that was something very unique out of him, but he got tearful. And then at the end, you get to see two of the, first you see the hat fly, and that immediately, I think our Discord almost snapped in half, and we might have had some members leave at that moment in time. But the FSU hat goes flying off. He picks up the Miami one. He said, I'm not going to throw that one. He keeps it down. And then he goes and walks away, and you can see for yourself here what ends up happening. But here's his speech, Hykeem Williams picking Florida State.
For the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be taking my talents to hold that. No, I don't think that shit right. I ain't gonna throw it, because they opened my eyes to a lot. They started this process for me, so I can't throw it, but I'm gonna handle it.
Miami hat.
Should have thrown that one too.
Man, let me start playing with these. Hey, bring me that jersey. And I'll be taking my talents to Florida State University.
Peter Warwick hands him the jersey.
Peter Warwick and Snoop Minnis.
Yep. P-Dog gives him a hug. Snoop Minnis comes in and gives him a hug.
Epic
War champ.
It's in here publishing.
Got fireworks going off. And what is happening here? We got fireworks going off. We got confetti. I mean,
I was told that this event it took about $10,000 to put it together.
$10,000. $10,000 went into this commitment set.
They pulled out some stops to make this look real nice.
Those shirts, I gotta say, those shirts are pretty damn fly. Those shirts are pretty damn fly. Whoever came up with those, the ones that Peter Work and Stu Minnis are wearing, those are clean. Noel-blooded in the front, and Hykeem Williams on the bottom there. Snoop Minnis rocking the shirt there and the graphic of Hykeem Williams picking Florida State. He went with the black FSU logo on the hat. He's all came in fly too. Love the look that he came in too, dressing up.
And just imagine how the coaching staff was feeling in that moment, because I was able to confirm that Florida State's coaches, they didn't have a heads up on this commitment going into the ceremony. And that was what I said the other day as well, that I had heard that Hykeem did not plan to inform schools prior to announcing. All 6 of those finalists had to watch that live stream to see where he was going to go. And, just imagine Florida State's coaches. He puts on that hat. They're getting ready to celebrate. He throws the hat. He grabs the Miami hat. And then you have Peter Warwick and Snoop Minnis walking out there, handing him a jersey. Just a roller coaster of emotions. And from what I've heard, there was a lot of celebrations going on inside the Moore this afternoon right after that.
Yeah, I would imagine that war room of all the coaching staff, assistants around there, all huddled around looking at the projector, watching that commitment come through. I wish we could see video of that reaction, but we saw obviously some excitement from Coach Norvell, Ron Dugans, Derek Ray, Florida State's general manager. Everybody absolutely ecstatic about landing a very talented guy out of South Florida, which Florida State and Mike Norvell are starting to really dive in deep there and grab him. And so we'll continue to cover this recruitment throughout the rest of it. Florida State, though, is on the good side here. They come away with the win, beating out Jimbo Fisher. Mike Norvell puts him in a locker. Florida State lands 5-star linebacker, wide receiver Hykeem Williams. He's big enough to be a linebacker, I will say. He is big enough to be a linebacker, but 5-star wide receiver Hykeem Williams, he adds into the Tribe 23. A good week for the Seminoles, D-Lou. A very good week, adding in linebacker Blake Nicholson, 4-star out of the West Coast, picking the Seminoles. So pretty damn good week, I would say.
The momentum is definitely going back up for Florida State on the recruiting trail. I remember when we were on here in April or May and Florida State was struggling a little bit and the recruiting ranking was down, I think maybe in the high 30s or the low 40s or whatever. And, ever since June, Florida State has landed 12 commitments, and that culminated with this week, probably the most impressive week so far, to get Blake Nicholson and Hykeem Williams within about 72 hours of one another. So Florida State, 12 commitments in the last couple months, are now up to 16 commitments in Tribe 23, move up to now from the low 40s a couple months ago to number 16 in the 2023 class rankings, according to 247 Sports. And that could bump up a little bit more before this cycle is done. Top 2023 offensive lineman DJ Chester in Tallahassee this weekend for an unofficial visit to watch FSU take on Boston College. You've got 23 running back 4-star Michael Mitchell as well, who is supposed to be here tomorrow. Florida State kind of monitoring some stuff there before they go all in with a scholarship offer. So there's a couple other guys, and we mentioned Jalen Brown. He's not going to be here tomorrow, but he's definitely on that target list. There's some guys in that 2023 class that Florida State is still looking at to round out the fold, and we're just going to have to see how the numbers work out. And they're still looking for a quarterback too. I don't know if it's going to work out at the high school ranks, but that'll be something as well to watch over the next couple months as we get towards the early signing period in 2023.
A lot of momentum and excitement in Tallahassee as Florida State still undefeated going on to face Boston College, trying to continue to get a 2-0 start if possible. Florida State will kick off on Saturday night at 8 p.m. We will be there with full coverage along with an instant reaction inside of Doak after the game. This will be uploaded everywhere, YouTube, also to every podcast platform. So trying to give you guys a lot more content going into this season. So appreciate all the support listening in to the show weekly, also to our instant reaction pods. YouTube videos been kicking right now. So appreciate everybody. But Florida State, Mike Norvell, Ron Dugans, the Donk, land one of the most talented wide receivers in the 2023 class with 5-star wide receiver Hykeem Williams. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the game on Saturday, and we will talk to you guys during the instant reaction, Florida State versus BC. See you guys.